device_friend. If you are in the know about the current goings-on of Deltarune and its community, this name just sent a chill down your spine. Toby Fox is someone who has always had an affinity for hiding spooky little characters and Easter eggs in his games, whether it be the goners shown in Undertale, the ever-elusive W.D. Gaster, or other strange occurrences. These phenomena are all over these games. None, though, truly compare to the absolute nightmare that is device_friend. This guy right here, this silly little smiley face with yellow and pink eyes, I swear he's a cognito hazard. Once you learn about him, like properly learn about him and what he's doing within the narrative of this game, you do not stop seeing him. I began doing research for this video thinking it would be a fun little exploration of all the small Easter eggs he's appeared in, but the list of sightings kept growing and growing and growing. This guy is everywhere, fucking everywhere. This video is a documentation of my findings, my exploration in trying to find and understand everything there is to find and understand about this monster that is haunting the narrative of Deltarune. I'm not gonna waste any more time. Let's just jump right into it. Also, by the way, just thought you guys should know that I have a GamerSups code now. GamerSups.com/Pastra. You can use the code that you see on screen here to get 10% off any of your purchases on GamerSups. Okay, cool. Let's get to the video. Yeah. Device_friend made his first appearance in Deltarune's second chapter, acting as a mere Easter egg that could be found when doing the route to obtain Spamton's Shadow Crystal. When venturing into the Queen's basement to get your hands on the empty disc item, Friend can be seen watching from the darkness in one of the rooms you must go to before the carousel appears. It's a blink and you'll miss it moment, but they are there. This small appearance sparked much intrigue in the community at the time for a couple of reasons. First and foremost, the appearance of the character. Friend was a disembodied face, with its most striking features being its eyes, which shared a color palette with Spamton's glasses, implying a deeper connection between him and whoever this Friend character was. This led to a lot of discussion at the time, with the most popular theory being that Friend was the mic mentioned when exhausting Spamton's dialogue in his shop. As well as this implied connection, Friend was also immediately fascinating for the prefix their sprite file had, which labeled them as a device. The reason this was important was because there is a popular fan theory that the device prefix in the game files refers to some kind of device created by W.D. Gaster for the express purpose of allowing us, the player, to interact with the game. Elements of the game, such as the character creator and save files, for example, are given this same prefix. So between the clear connection to Spamton and this, it was clear to most people that this character or entity or whatever they were was important. This small Easter egg was not the only time the presence of Friend could be observed in Chapter 2 as well. When exploring the Dark World, the colors yellow and pink could be seen in multiple places, further establishing a strange connection between the Dark World and whoever this Friend is. At one point, the player can see neon signs in the background of the Cyber City, displaying those colors and the imagery of cats alongside them. These same bright pink and yellow colors can also be seen in the windows of Cyber City, just far enough out of view that you may not notice them. But once you're looking for them, they are right in your face. This character was everywhere, but we had no way of knowing why, as Deltarune was still very much in its infancy when Chapter 2 was out. Everyone just kind of assumed he either was Spamton or was something relating to Spamton purely because of the shared eye color and friend's first appearance happening in a route that was directly tied to Spamton. He would not stop appearing after this, though, with his presence continuing to be felt within the game and, more importantly, external media. The first instance of us seeing Friend outside of the game happened when Fangamer launched its first Deltarune Chapter 2 merch, and with it, the Spamton Special Fun Pack. In this funny little paper bag, fans could purchase any number of goofy little trinkets relating to Spamton, with one being of note to this discussion: a Do Not Disturb sign for your door showing Spamton in all his glory, as well as a piercing pair of pink and yellow eyes behind him. This is not too important in the grand scheme of things. It is merch after all, but I bring attention to it both because it further reinforces the clear connection between both of these characters, as well as acting as a prelude to a major development in this character's relevance: the Spamton sweepstakes. If you hadn't heard of this, I don't blame you. The Spamton Sweepstakes was a live charity event where donators had the chance to win a whole plethora of Spamton-themed prizes. It was a goofy, fun event with one of my favorite videos on YouTube tied to it for the finale, but on top of that, the community quickly realized that there was an ARG element attached to it. By exploring the Spamton Sweepstakes site, people were able to find teasers for future chapters, Easter eggs alluding to stories that have yet to be explored, and yes, you guessed it, they could encounter Friend. The first and most obvious of these Friend encounters was in the form of the chair page that, when clicked enough, would cause you to be jump scared by Friend's eyes. But this was just the tip of the iceberg. Further exploration of this site eventually led to the discovery of a series of blog posts that were made by Noelle. These blog posts ranged from a couple of things. One discussed her interactions early on with Susie, one talked about her frequent playing of the game Dragon Blazers, and another, very important one, discussed a game she used to play called Cat Petters. This blog goes over her experiences with the game, and it shows us a couple very notable things. Mainly the fact that the game she played had a very similar art style to a real pet-raising game called Cats 2, which predominantly featured cats that were made up of a bunch of segmented circles that were all animated separately. This doesn't sound important, but trust me, it is. She tells a story about her time playing the game, about how she would frequently mess with it, and how one day she got an egg for a cat that never hatched. She raised it, took care of it, but nothing ever came of it. It eventually just left. This whole story was strange, but how is it connected to Friend? How is Friend connected to any of this? Well, a deeper dive into Noelle's blog posts eventually leads us to a page where she specifically breaks down how the rarities of the different cats you could catch in the game worked. There was an 80% chance for a normal cat, a 15% chance for a cat with blue aura, a 4% chance for a rock and roll cat, and a super incredibly low chance for an angel cat. Suspiciously, she also mentions the existence of a supposedly rarer cat that only she saw, one that killed her and that she had no recollection of. That already sets off alarm bells, but what gets weirder is when we look deeper into the Spamton sweepstakes themselves. By doing so, we can find a minigame that parallels this blog post, a minigame that allows us to click on random cats on screen that perfectly match Noelle's description. We can click normal cats, cats with blue aura, rock and roll cats, angel cats, all of it's here. And you know what else is here? Friend. Lingering on this site long enough, clicking on cats eventually results in a Friend jump scare that sends you back to the main page. Friend is deeply connected with this cat petters game, and even more so, deeply connected with Noelle. Because truth be told, this is not where the connections between these two characters stop. When we look deeper into Noelle's story, we can see instances and implications of this character everywhere. As I said before, the windows in Cyber City back in Chapter 2 showcase the color of Friend's eyes, but what I didn't mention is that these colored windows specifically appear once you get to the part of the game where Noelle is in your party. As well as that, if you go to this same location during the weird route, the windows become much clearer and easier to see, as if the game now wants you to look at them. And on top of all that, it doesn't stop there, because in the same chapter, once you get Noelle in the party, you will distinctly notice that in the HUD for the party, Noelle is depicted as being a bright yellow color for her sprite. And Susie, Noelle's crush, who she spends the entire game fawning over, Susie's sprite is pink. I know, I already sound crazy, but I can't be the only one who sees this connection, right? Noelle is already so intertwined with this thing. I'm just seeing him everywhere now, and we haven't even gotten to Chapter 3 yet. Speaking of Chapter 3, this chapter, as well as Chapter 4, are where this character's appearances begin to amp up to 11. In Chapter 3 especially, this is where the general player is going to see him, as it has his most in-your-face appearances that aren't tied to Easter eggs or external media. The first and most obvious of these appearances happens at the very beginning of the chapter during Ralsei's monologue. When describing the dark and the creatures that come from it, front and center of the visual aid is Friend given a full body. This design is very interesting. Not only does it clearly convey now that this character is a cat, which further reinforces its connection to the Cat Petters game, but it also shares similarities to the appearance of one of the amalgams seen in Undertale's True Lab. I don't know why this is the case, but it is an interesting detail. Continuing on, there are some small occurrences throughout this chapter which could be unrelated or pure coincidence, but very well could also relate back to Friend once again. During the results screen after completing Tenna's game boards, the text for the results are, you guessed it, pink and yellow. Going into the back of the S rank room and interacting with the vending machine will allow you to purchase an item simply called Smile, with accompanying flavor text that reads, always at your humble service. The game doesn't directly communicate that this is related to Friend, but it honestly has them written all over it, given everything we've observed thus far, so I'm inclined to believe it is. Speaking of that S rank room, Friend's presence in this chapter becomes even more obvious the moment we gain access to this. I made a whole video on this sequence and why it freaks me out so much, which you can watch by clicking the link in the top corner, so I won't get too much into detail on it, but it is a gold mine for Friend sightings, so I'ma really hone in on it here. First things first, to actually access this minigame, the player needs to get their hands on a controller that they do not have. At first, it seems like you're gonna need to go and look for it, but suddenly, there it is, just left there for you right outside the room. Inspecting the item, the flavor text on it tells us that the controller has pink and yellow joysticks. Not even playing the game yet, and Friend is making his presence known now. Later on, you're also able to talk to Ram about this whole weird interaction, asking if someone else was in the room with you, to which he just kind of brushes it off, which... the fact that this is brought to our attention at all, and the fact that the controller is so evidently tied to this character, it has some scary implications about Friend just lurking in the back room with us. Actually getting into the game itself, this is where I feel most people really started to take note of this character and his sightings within the game. Exploring the different worlds of the original game board, the player can immediately enter these pyramids once they've leveled up enough, which I mentioned in my previous video allows us to see this chapter's secret boss, Eram, lurking in the dark. What I neglected to mention is that Eram is not the only one present here. Entering the same pyramid from a different entrance allows us to encounter Friend itself, himself, who, depending on which way we enter from, will either be present with their smile visible in the dark or their eyes before vanishing. We get to see more of Friend after this in the actual ERAM boss fight itself, where the entity spawns in masses as an enemy we can fight, vanishing with the exact same laugh every time we attack them. Both of these appearances, as well as it just appearing in the opening Rousey monologue, were what properly introduced me to this character and sparked this entire deep dive in the first place. At first, I thought this thing was a mere enemy used as an ad for the boss fight and nothing else, only to realize as I dug deeper for my video about ERAM that Friend had much, much more going on. Speaking of which, although that is the end of Chapter 3's appearances for Friend, there are a couple of things I've yet to mention about these appearances that really intrigue me. Firstly, that odd controller. When thinking about this controller, one may wonder what it would be in the light world given how important it is. Well, actually going to the light world and exploring Chris and Azriel's bedroom, we get our answer. It's a bootleg controller hooked up directly to Chris's game console. A bootleg controller that Chris used to play Dragon Blazers, the same game series that Noelle talked about playing in her blog posts. The same Dragon Blazers that is evidently mirrored by the secret original game board we play with the odd controller in the Dark World. Don't believe me? Let's quickly take a detour to look at what Gerson says in Chapter 4. In Chapter 4, we clearly learned that Dragon Blazers was based off of Gerson's novel, Lord of the Hammer, and during Gerson's boss fight, he describes what happens in each chapter of that book. These chapters are shown in the original game through the setting we play in. Chapter 2 is called The City of the Shining, which clearly relates to Chapter 2 of Deltarune with Queen, but also is paralleled here by the third game board. Chapter 3 is called The Isle of Northern Light, with it being described how the heroes travel the islands to catch a glimpse of a lost land. Looking at the original game board, this lines up perfectly with the Ice Palace, with there even being a message in it which reads, "Go to the Northern Light." This original game is Dragon Blazers, which is important, both because it explains where the odd controller comes from, but it even further reinforces the connection between Friend and Noelle. Noelle played Dragon Blazers, and when we go to the original board in the Ice Palace, we can gain a party member that is clearly supposed to be Noelle. So many aspects of Noelle's life have this bizarre connection to Friend, and it doesn't stop there, because once we look at Chapter 4 properly, it gets worse. Chapter 4 is perhaps the most important chapter for Friend appearances, mainly because it feels like the point in the game where a lot of smaller threads begin coming together. We can first see Friend in this chapter when engaging with the secret Mike boss fight, which turns out to merely be a bunch of Pippins in disguise. Throughout this fight and the lead up to it, there is a lot of cat imagery with yellow and pink going alongside it. As well as this, a section of the fight allows you to play the Cat Petters minigame from the Deltarune website, complete with the same Friend Easter egg if you play it for long enough. This adds nothing new to what we already knew before, but it's a fun way for this connection from before to make its way into the actual game so that people can more easily find it. As well as this, even one of the fake mics we fight has a cat design with pink and yellow eyes, which is clearly meant to be a silly nod towards early fan theories that Mike and Friend were one and the same. After this, we start to see some creepier and much more important references to the character throughout this chapter. When venturing into the Chapter 4 Dark World, there are these rooms you can find that are shrouded in such deep darkness that the only way to see is by using the sound waves created by your footsteps. In one of these rooms, completely hidden, we can actually find Friend hiding away from us, only being revealed when the sound waves pass by him. This alone is extremely creepy, but the Easter eggs we find later are even worse. Later on in the chapter, we're able to interact with these NPCs called organics, who take the role of philosophers. They speak about a bunch of random things, but there is one in particular who is incredibly interesting. He's very out of the way, and when you speak to him, you will quickly notice that his dialogue is jumbled up. Deciphering the dialogue will give you the message: lost where the forest would grow, the children followed the pointed tail. The poor children. Now, this message could mean a lot of things, but it, in tandem with a couple of other interesting Easter eggs, seem to connect it to one evil, smiling friend. As well as this bit of dialogue, we can find another Easter egg in the form of a prophecy that discusses the same tale. The prophecy reads, "The tale of hell will take crawl," and shows a peculiar looking tail made of segmented circles, very similar to the ones described in Cat Pedders. As well as this, we can find another prophecy that simply reads roots, depicting the visual of a house between two trees. This house could mean a lot of things, but there are two aspects of it that stand out to me and feel relevant to the discussion at hand. Firstly, this house and the way it's set up looks and feels very similar to that of the bunker. One large structure wedged between trees in a spot where the forest would grow. As well as this, it looks strikingly similar to the adoption center from Cats 5, which could very well be intentional, but who knows, maybe it's just confirmation bias speaking. All this to say, though, that these three Easter eggs all feel intrinsically linked to Friend and his involvement in the overarching story of Deltarune. They paint a very grim picture of the goings-on in the world and how Friend could potentially be tied both to the disappearances of multiple children in the light world, but also could be a key player in the prophecy. There is even more that can be found going deeper into this chapter, if you can believe it, and it's all thanks to good old Gerson and his dialogue during his boss fight. During this fight, as we described before, he goes over the different chapters of his book Lord of the Hammer, which we learned was adapted into Dragon Blazers, and adapted from the prophecy. Well, one interesting thing is that Gerson actually briefly talks about Chapter 5 and gives us a very small glimpse into what that chapter will hold. And what is it he says? Chapter 5, the field of pink and gold. The vast garden is charred in an inferno of jealousy. Pink and gold. There it is again, those two colors that have driven me to what feels like complete madness everywhere I look. Pink and yellow. This description alone to me implies we're going to be seeing much more of Friend in Chapter 5, and that coupled with the king trapped in asylum prophecy featuring Asgore that can be found, I'm scared about how things are shaping up. One final little tidbit I think is worth mentioning here before we move on is a much more minor detail that could bear some heavy significance. When we go to the end of the chapter where we have our final confrontation with the Roaring Knight and the Titan, there is this scene where Susie is shit-talking the knight and the knight begins to laugh. Those who were very astute quickly took note of the fact that this laugh sound effect is the exact same laugh that can be heard from Friend. The exact same one. Whether this bears significance, I don't know. But given everything else we've seen so far, I wouldn't be surprised. And that takes us to the current end of Friend sightings in Deltarune. There may be some I missed or some connections I've yet to draw, but that is all I was able to currently find in my own research and make connections to. That being said, though, we're not done yet. It may seem like we are, but somehow we're not done yet. Let's take a trip 10 years back to a little game called Undertale. This game had very minute details that nobody would have paid attention to, but given the current subject of this video, now mean a lot. First things first, you know how on the Spamton sweepstake there was this odd sprite of friend that had a magenta eye for seemingly no reason despite the eye normally being a brighter pink? Well, taking a look at Sans during his boss fight reveals something interesting to us. The karma mechanic, that little poison effect that all of his attacks give you, the coloration of those attacks is magenta when shown on your yellow health bar. The same magenta we see with Friend's eyes down to the fucking hex code. And that's not all. His yellow eye, same color as the yellow used for sparing enemies, for the save points, for your health. And it continues to get worse, dear viewer, because there is an elephant in the room I've yet to even mention. In the ruins of Undertale, having been present since the first demo, is a frogget. A simple, unsuspecting frogget. Talking to this frogget, he will allow you to change the color of your spare button from its usual yellow to pink. The exact same pink as Friend's eyes are normally. Same hex code and everything. This can't be a coincidence, right? But then what does it even mean if it isn't? Why would a frogget in the ruins changing the color of our spare color in fucking Undertale be relevant to the existence of some demonic cat creature in a game Toby Fox released 10 years later? I don't understand. I swear this character is everywhere I look. I go to watch a fun cartoon, there he fucking is. I go to look at pictures of cute little cats, there he is. I want to buy some Joy-Cons for the Switch. Nope. No, you don't, because there he is, hiding in plain sight. No matter where I go, he's there. It's like I unlocked some kind of eldritch knowledge I wasn't supposed to have. Okay, Pastor, calm down. Calm down, it's just a coincidence. You just need to detox. Just go play some Fortnite or something. That always cheers you up. Oh, yeah, let's go. This is exactly what I needed. Nothing beats good old Fortnite. Oh, my buddy's emoting. Let me just join in. Wait a minute. No, it can't be. No, anywhere but Fortnite. No, not that cat. Anyone but that cat. I'll never be free.
So, what does it all mean? Surely Toby wouldn't infect his fans with the feline equivalent of the Bader Meinhof phenomenon for shits and giggles. Right? Surely. There's an explanation here. A missing puzzle piece. Something that will tell us what Friend's purpose in Deltarune's narrative is. Or will ultimately be. Are they Gaster's evil lackey, doing his bidding in order to move the plot of Deltarune forward? Are they a demon, born from the darkest depths from which the fountains are released? Are they going to be the final boss of the game? Maybe they're secretly pulling all the strings behind the scenes, secretly controlling the knight's actions. Could they be controlling Carol? Could they be the ones truly controlling Chris? Could they be controlling you? Could they control me? Could they even... Anyways, obviously we are working to solve an incomplete puzzle over here. And as of the release of this video at least, only 4 of the 7 chapters that compose Deltarune have been released. But as a certified Deltarune gamer with an incredibly high IQ who's never been wrong about any of my Deltarune theories ever, I feel particularly equipped to solve this heterochromic mystery. So let me just take a stab in the dark here and come up with my own theory for what Friend's all about. And then you guys can tell me what you think about it in the comments. So I think I have about, I think I got about 8 minutes before they're done with that, so just hear me out here. As Zach previously mentioned, everywhere Noelle Holiday goes, Friend is sure to follow. They are in Dragon Blazers. They are in the Chapter 4 Cat Pitters inspired minigames. Always hidden, just out of sight. Always smiling, watching. And if you really think about it, if we just ignore the rest of Deltarune's plot and focus purely on Noelle, she's sort of a protagonist of a creepypasta story, isn't she? Like, she's almost the archetypical creepypasta/unfiction horror story protagonist. She has a blog dedicated to secrets, glitches, and Easter eggs in her favorite games, a sister who disappeared under mysterious circumstances, very frequently shows gaps in her memory caused by traumatic events, and yet, she has an unwavering determination to face the unknown. Maybe out of curiosity, maybe out of some masochistic adrenaline-fueled thrill, or maybe, just maybe, as an unconscious drive to find something, anything, that could tell her where Des might have gone to. And if Noelle's the protagonist of this creepypasta story, well then, buddy, who better to serve the role of the mysterious antagonistic anomaly/cryptid than our buddy Friend over here? Every time Noelle digs deeper than she's supposed to, Friend is there to greet her. Noelle tries to document every single cat type in cat petters. Bam! Friend jump scare. Noelle tries to mod her game to get the ultimate secret cat. Bam! Special egg friend thing. Noelle plays Dragon Blazers and accidentally performs the evil weird route in her game. Bam! There they are throughout the sword routes. Noelle has a habit of reading her blog spam mail, forming a small connection with her spam bot, to the point that he gifted her a little peepees? Well, guess what entity might have then contacted that little mailman in the dark world, and had such a profound impact on him that he still wears that entity's colors on his glasses? So, with that all in mind, I ask you, what if the dark worlds of Deltarune have the power to give life not only to objects, but a Lightner's own imagination itself? A vision of something that only existed within your own mind. Something you maybe secretly wished existed. Something you looked for. A being brought into existence through the power of darkness mixed in with belief. A stray childhood thought, a creepy monster you swear you saw lurking in the shadows of your bedroom, maybe a dark secret you were hoping to uncover, hidden inside your favorite video game. Friend is Noelle's Mew behind the truck. Friend is Noelle's operator, her Ben who drowned, her Sonic of the .exe variety. And well, yes, Friend is a little scary creature, sure. It's not like Noelle's adverse to scary things, right? In fact, as she herself says in Chapter 2's Carousel Ride, she finds such things comforting. And that's what I believe Friend really is. A sort of imaginary friend. The reward for looking deeper than anyone else would. A creature born from darkness, conjured from the mind of a sheltered little kid, seeking some thrills to spice up their boring hometown life. And yet, there's something missing, isn't there? There's something missing in this theory. An unexplained emptiness. A missing puzzle piece. The thing that makes Friend so much more special than other Darkners. Because unlike any other Darkner, any other character, Friend's presence haunts the very roots of the narrative itself. And so, while our missing puzzle piece still isn't here for us to find, its presence, or rather, its absence can still be felt. In the middle of Chapter 2, Chris and Noelle start to reconnect. Noelle then reminisces about their shared past. She talks about a shining city of lights, a place very similar to the very cyber city they're walking through. One that Noelle's sister December once said that she would take her to. A place they promised each other they'd one day go out to and explore, together. But before they could, before that promise could be fulfilled, December went missing. It happened during the night, years before our own story began, back when all four of them were still kids. Chris, Noelle, Astriel, and December, two pairs of siblings. Two families once inseparable, an adventuring party. Maybe as a dare. Maybe to prove a school rumor wrong. Maybe as a test of courage spurred on by the older siblings. Or to just simply go on an adventure together and have some fun outside. Regardless of the reason, they all set out to explore the edges of hometown. Beyond that graveyard, in the middle of the night, surrounded by darkness. And of course, as a group of rebels would, without adult supervision. And so they would all quickly find themselves lost where the forest would grow. Until they all spotted something, a rustle in the trees, a figure moving amongst the leaves, a black tail, just out of sight, or rather, spots? Circles? An organized formation, a group of shadows trailing one after the other, snaking back and forth, a hypnotizing performance. A terrified Noelle cries out, frozen in fear, unable to move, until comforted by her sister, who wipes her tears away with Assie's jacket. Who knows what December felt in that moment? Was she confident she could get everyone back home? Did she feel excitement at the opportunity to be the hero her sister and friends needed at that moment? Did she feel the responsibility weigh heavy on her shoulders of getting everyone back to safety? Or was she also scared of the things that went bump in the night, yet still chose to put up a brave face for everyone else? We don't know. And we don't know what happened after that moment either. Not yet anyway. And maybe we won't get to know. Even once the story is over. The only thing we know right now is that without any other option, without anywhere else left to go, without any other thing to guide them back home, the children followed the pointed tail. And then the poor children never saw their big sister again.
Apologies, friends, for that outburst from before. I have recovered now and feel wonderful. This was such a fun video to make. I hope you liked it. I know I did. If you want to come back, that would be cool. I will see you in next video. Subscribe, please. That would be nice.